You may have heard of the sit-ins that happened in the 1960s in the South, where young black people would sit at the whites-only lunch counters and ask to be served. They would be refused and often would be met with violence and harassment by both the patrons and the staff. What if I told you the earliest sit-in happened in 1958, and not in the South, but right here in downtown Oklahoma City? Hop in, we're doing history. When Reconstruction fell apart after the Civil War, many southern and border regions passed what are known as Jim Crow laws, which, among other things, enforced racial segregation. And in 1896, the Supreme Court ruling in the case Plessy v. Ferguson allowed for separate but equal accommodations for black people. But the reality was that black people were given second-rate schools, services, and public facilities. And specifically in Oklahoma City, this meant that black people were barred from most, if not all, downtown bars, restaurants, and theaters. Clara Luper was a teacher, activist, and one of Oklahoma's most important civil rights leaders. She was born in 1923 in Okfuskee County, Oklahoma, and earned her bachelor's from Langston University and her master's from the University of Oklahoma. And in the 1950s, she was teaching history at the Dungy High School, a segregated school outside of Oklahoma City. Luper also served as the adult advisor to the Youth Council, which was a division of the NAACP. She admired Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership in the Montgomery bus boycott, and she was a strong believer in nonviolent protest. Luper and her students were invited to New York City to perform a play about King that Luper had written, and when they arrived, it was the first time that they experienced integrated lunch counters in restaurants. And after seeing and experiencing this integration, going back home to a place ruled by segregation did not sit well with them, and they wanted to do something about it. This experience would spur them on to launch a campaign to desegregate Oklahoma City's eating establishments.
When she believed in something strong enough, she would go to the end of the world for it. And I often wondered where she got her strength from. Because for me to sit here and tell you it was easy for her, it was not easy during that time. The road that she's come, it was hard, it was difficult. But one thing about her that I just loved to death, you could knock her down, but you could not keep her down. And coming, she would tell the kids, and she would prepare us to participate in the sit-in movement by teaching us the nonviolent movement.
By 1955, Oklahoma schools had desegregated, but lunch counters and restaurants still remained segregated. At first, Clara Luper and her youth council tried to privately negotiate with businesses in 1957, but they all refused, claiming that they would lose all of their white customers if they started to integrate.
I would like to go with some facts with you. Oklahoma has always been a leader in the field of human relations. And the battlefield, the civil rights battlefield, has been fought here in Oklahoma, and we have taken more cases to the Supreme Court than any other state in the history of America. And we have been able to do it because of the fact that the whites and colors have worked together.
Undeterred, the students decided to take direct action. After months of planning, they started the first sit-in in 1958 at Katz Drugstore. A total of 13 black students, the youngest being 7 years old, walked into Katz and sat at the whites-only counter and asked to be served. They were refused, but they sat at the counter and refused to move. They repeated this for the next several days, and they gained momentum, and Clara Luper joined the students, and they had other people from the community also join them. On August 21st, a few days later, Katz agreed to integrate their lunch counter.
For 5 years, they persistently demonstrated at lunch counters, department stores, and hotels. They won only small concessions. Then, late in May of this year, the dam broke. First a hotel, then a single restaurant, then another hotel. The battle had been won peacefully, and the youngsters celebrated.
By the early 1960s, their sit-in movement had effectively desegregated all of downtown Oklahoma City's restaurants, hotels, and other eateries. The Oklahoma Historical Society cites this sit-in as one of the earliest sit-ins in the country. Clara Luper and her youth council inspired similar movements across Oklahoma and across the country, helping to dismantle Jim Crow South laws. The Clara Luper National Sit-in Plaza was dedicated on November 2nd, 2025, and downtown Oklahoma City on the original site of the Katz drugstore. The plaza honors the courage and bravery of Clara Luper and the original 13 students who began the sit-in movement. The memorial consists of life-size bronze statues of them at the lunch counter and standing behind it. My favorite part of the memorial is that there is an empty seat at the lunch counter so that visitors can interact with the art and make a personal connection to that moment in history. Clara Luper passed away in June of 2011, so she did not get to see this memorial, but her daughter, Marilyn Luper Hildreth, was at the dedication, and she said, I'm so glad
that we sat down here in Oklahoma City, because if we had not sat down here in Oklahoma City, young people throughout this nation would have never stood up. Hold on. Continue to fight. Continue to vote. We shall overcome.
And another speaker at the dedication, Pastor Derek Scobie, said, Let this plaza
be a symbol to all, especially small children, when they see these life-size bronze statues, some that are their very own size. May they understand that even the smallest
can do great and mighty things.
Daniel and White every man. Deliver Daniel from the lion's den, John from the belly of the whale, and the Hebrew